Hello, and welcome to Central Women YouTube and Podcast. I'm just so delighted you're with us today, and I'm super delighted with the guests that we have today. Very familiar face to most of us, and we have Becky Thompson with us today. So thank you, Becky, for giving your time and talking a little bit about what our theme is this semester, and it is Created to Be Me. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so grateful that you're going to kind of give us some insight and some help along the way. We have shared with the ladies that, first of all, we're focusing on Ephesians 2:10, and I know that you're going to read that before we get started, but then really diving into making sure that we're following what the Lord wants us, because He's each planted some seeds in us with gifts that we want to nurture and water so that we can use that for His glory. And sometimes as life goes on, we might get stuck in motherhood or career, and then all of a sudden we're like, wait, what is my gift? Mm-hmm. So that's what this whole series is about, is really helping us stop and pause and really ask the Lord, what am I doing at this season in my life, and is there something else that you would like me to do? So we have different strategies going on this semester with our Created to Be Me. Yeah. So if we can just get started and jump into what you want to share, and would you mind reading Ephesians 2:10? That's our focus first.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, Ephesians 2:10. For we are His creative work, having been created in Christ Jesus for good works that God prepared beforehand so we can do them.
Yes, so He's prepared beforehand. So like I said, there's that seed that's in us that He's put in. And depending on how we move and flow through life, are we watering that, or are we trying to do something different and be something else, or comparing ourselves with somebody else, which I know a lot of us do, sometimes not even consciously, right, that we're comparing ourselves with other people. Oh, I wish I had their gift, instead of really focusing on the gift that God has given us. So anyway, why don't you share just a little bit about how you found your gift, and just a little bit more about what the church has to offer to help us find our gift.
All right, I would love to. What you were just mentioning about even the comparison speaks a little bit to my story. So,
okay.
When I became a mom for the first time, I was still pretty young compared to most women my age having babies, and I was pretty lost. I didn't have friends. I wasn't really attending church, and I was just kind of changing diapers all day long. There is more to life than diapers. Every 30 minutes. Yes, and I had a career. I had successful multiple jobs. I was successful outside of the home, and then when I found myself in the home constantly, then I started to really wonder, like, what am I doing? And is there more to me than what I've been doing? So I got involved with the Moms Group at Central, and through that and through meeting women, that's when I realized what even is a spiritual gift, and that we have them, and really learning how to lean into it. Awesome. And so that was really great, because even in a mom's group, sometimes you look around and you are thinking you're the only crazy one, or you're the only one who doesn't have it together, or you're the only one whose house is trash, all of the things. And so this comparison game happens.
Which is not true, by the way.
Right.
Which is not true.
It's not true, but you feel get in your head.
Yes, totally.
But then when you realize that each of us is wired differently, and for God's purpose, it's very, very intentional. And once we have the Holy Spirit, and once we are given our gift, that sometimes is gifts that we already have, but it's enhancing. It's like talents or skills, but when you're using it for His kingdom, it's enhanced. Right. And that's when you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to be good at all of these things. Right. And I'm not supposed to. Because when you read Scripture, when you're in 1 Corinthians, and it talks about the body of Christ and how each of us has a part. We are each a part, and, we don't need two noses. We need one nose.
Exactly.
All of those things. So suddenly you can become at peace, and then really lean into your identity and then the gifts that God's given you, and using them for kingdom purposes, and just to help draw people to Jesus. And
I love that. We can't have all the gifts, just like our body. We can't be all nose.
Right.
It can't be all arm. Like, it takes everything and everybody in order for kingdom purpose to happen. And so we just need to find that gift that's going to help whatever God has for us in that area. So I love that. Thank you for reminding all of us of that.
Yeah.
Because we all need to be reminded, because the world keeps telling women, oh, you can do it all, have it all. And then when we don't, we feel, what's wrong with me? And really, that's a lie. That's not how God intended it to be. Yeah. He wants us to focus on Him, then He will direct us to where He wants us to go and be. So,
and I think the world, in addition to that, is also telling us, you can do all those things and on your own.
Yeah, and be happy.
Yes. You don't need others. You don't need God. You don't need any of that. You can do it. You individualistic kind of mentality that is just so contrary to kingdom-minded.
Yes, exactly.
And so we have to do it together. We have to be in community. And we have these gifts for a purpose. And God needs us, actually, because we're his plan A.
Right.
You know, there's no plan B with,
That's right.
with helping people discover Jesus and live like him. So we have to do it, and we can use our gifts that he's given us to make a difference. Yeah.
All right, so tell me a little bit. So then, how did you, so you said you found your gifts when you went. So how did you go through that?
Yeah.
Like step by step too, because if any woman is out there right now, like how do they do that? Besides joining the moms group, it sounds very helpful.
Yeah.
But then what happened after that?
Well, there's lots of spiritual gifts assessments that you can take online, and you can even just Google it, and you can find some really great ones. Central Out, however, has one. And so in the moms group, that was kind of something that was just part of the curriculum at one point, where we were all encouraged to take it. And so we'll probably have the link available, but you can go online to Central's website, take the assessment, and it populates then a list of things like that you can serve at church or just in general to kind of help you figure out what your gift is and how you can start using it. And so I took that assessment, and I realized where I was, there's a handful of them. There's kind of a large number of gifts, which is good because the kingdom is big and we have a lot of work to do. But it was really great because my top 3, I was administration, leadership, and helps. And those all kind of complement me, but it also it just helped me understand my identity even more. Like, why do I do the things I do? Why do I care about the things I care about? Why do I tick the way I tick? And so it really helped me understand. And then I could be okay with some of the stuff that I do that maybe doesn't make sense to others, but also then to have an understanding with others. Like, different people have different capacities and different responsibilities in the kingdom. And so I no longer had to put pressure on other people or even like unspoken expectations on people of they have to be a certain way, because that's not how God wired them. And so it definitely gave me a lot of peace in understanding my identity as well, especially as what I would say is like a new believer, a new mom, lots of new things, newly married, and a new believer.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm going to say now where you're at now with your leadership, like you said, one of your gifts was leadership, which maybe you didn't know back then, but now the leader that you are, understanding other people's spiritual gifts, so you don't put on them something that maybe, or if you do, you know to support them. Like the expectations that you have on them to complete their task or their job, you're better able to understand, too, what their gifts are. And I still need you to get that done, but I'm going to support you in this way. You know, so it's huge for leadership. So way back then, God was preparing you for
yes.
you are today.
Well, and funny enough, empathy and compassion, those are kind of low on my list. And actually, I think I'm getting better at it because honestly, we all have some level of all of the gifts, but some are heightened and some are not as much. Jesus is really the only one who has all the gifts.
Yes.
But compassion, empathy are pretty low. But even in the leadership role, and knowing who I'm serving with, who I'm leading, even in your family, who your family members are, I have been able to understand why certain things hit people who are more empathetic or have the gift of compassion differently, whereas certain things maybe don't bother me as much, and I'm able to move on or come on, let's get the work done or whatever.
Right.
But now I understand, and I can sort of be the leader that people need me to be because of knowing what their spiritual gift is. And so that's been a beautiful thing just in my role. And I think also, I work at a church, but this would be great for anyone who works anywhere. Anyone who's a believer of just knowing and understanding your people. Right.
And even if your office space with your colleagues, just understanding your other teammates or whoever you're working for, understanding your boss, or if you're a boss, understanding the people that report to you can definitely be helpful.
Yeah. As children, helping.
Mates at home, your husband, your spouse, your children, your parents, their siblings, like you can just help with relationships in general. Yeah, for sure.
And what I love about Central's assessment is that it helps you then figure out where you can start serving immediately. So you don't just read it and it says, you're good at administration or whatever. You can then start to really think, okay, now that I know, what do I do? And that's a big thing about following Jesus is that obedience of doing the next thing that we're called to.
Right.
And so for people who maybe aren't plugged in to serving opportunities or even like small groups or things like that, this can help you get a jump start on discovering how to really take that next step and use your gifts.
Yeah, for sure, because the church is the people. It's us, right? It's just not the building, and it's not the people that are paid to be here. Really, the church is the people, right? And so obviously we need people to be here to lead everything, right? The paid positions. But really the church is the people that can use their gifts for kingdom purpose, because, there's so much more to be done than what a staff can do at any church. And so just the church is us. And what did God call us to be, or Jesus got to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And that means, putting yourself out there. So I'm going to encourage you to put yourself out there. Because I put myself out there, and God just takes care of everything. It was scary.
But you're doing awesome.
It was scary. Thank you.
Life is so much richer when you are serving, when you're leaning into the way that God's designed you and the gifts that He's given you.
For sure.
I can't even describe it. It's so rich. And also in church, like you were saying, so many times there is a handful of people that do most of the work. And that's not how the body works. Well, maybe it is. I mean, the heart does a lot in your body. Maybe like a fingernail doesn't do as much. But still, we need everyone to do their part, because if we want to impact the world, then it's going to take all of us.
Yeah, agree. So then lead us through other things. I know there's like Rooted. Can you talk about that? Because that's the initial for newbies, or even if you're been going to the church for 10 or 15 years and you haven't taken that Rooted course, it really does talk about that. So share a little bit about the Rooted and also what part of the curriculum is for that.
Okay. Rooted is a fantastic experience, and I'm actually going through it for the third time. So I've been through it in the past, and me and my husband decided to lead one out of our home currently. But it's great because, like I said, it's an experience. So it's not a curriculum. It's not a book, even though there is curriculum that complements it. There is so much more. There's a prayer experience. There's a serving experience. And there's just so much fellowship that happens. And we really get to learn about who God is and what He intended for creation. And then we get to learn about ourselves and what our part is. And there's actually a week where we do talk a lot about service, and we spend a week learning about our spiritual gifts. And if I may, I have something I want to read from week 6 of Rooted, because this just touches me so much when it comes to our spiritual gifts and what we're supposed to do. So if you'll allow me,
yes, please.
Here's what it says. When we think about our gifts and calling, our minds naturally go to our sphere of influence. We have an opportunity to impact those around us as we reveal God's glory. God is an audacious God, doing what it takes to turn the world back toward Him, restoring shalom as He intended it to be. He has given us agency with Him to fearlessly influence our society and our world. And so when we know what our gifts are, and our gifts can line up with our passions and our lived experience, our relationships, our sphere of influence, that's when we really are living out what God's intended for us, to bring shalom back, to restore the earth to what it is, and to make sure that nobody is living on this earth without knowing the love of Jesus and what He did for us.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and so the purpose of Rooted, in case any of our viewers are not sure, tell us a little bit. Do they have it at every campus, or... Yeah, and when does it start? When does it end?
We run Rooted a couple times a year, and it's a small group style format. So we offer it at the campuses. So often there's childcare and things like that. But then you can also, if you've got leaders who want to offer it at home, so we're offering it in our home. But it is a very good entry-level step in kind of your discipleship pathway, like learning about your faith and learning what it means, and being a part of a church that takes this serious. But also, like I said, I'm doing it for the third time, because even though it might seem like it's back to basics, it's so good that even myself, been walking with the Lord for a long time, I learned so much from it, because every phase of life that we go through, He has different things to teach us.
Oh, for sure.
And so different words pop, like even what I just read, it really popped for me. It might not pop for somebody else the same way, but that's why it's such a unique experience. And so what we encourage at Central is everyone to go through it. If people have never done it before, go through it. If you haven't done it in a while, or maybe you've even done it at a different church, because it's a pretty popular curriculum that is kind of internationally known, you could still do it at Central, and I know the Lord has something to share with each person who's doing it. But it is a very, very good step, and there's always information about it on our website.
Yeah. And so it's just not for new believers. I think sometimes people think, oh, it's for new believers when you think of Rooted. But for any believer, if you've been a believer for 40, 50 years, like, it's always good to get back to really focusing and learning from others. A small group is so important. As well, I know that the church really wants people to get involved in groups, because that's when you can really grow in a more intimate setting. So Rooted is one of those. But then also, ladies, if you're not involved in anything close by, or if you're watching outside of Central, I encourage you to get involved and surround yourself with a community of women. Or there's so many different Bible studies that are out there that each one of Central's campuses offers.
Yes,
so many. I was just looking here at Queen Creek, and there's a golfing one. Yeah. Where the gentleman meets once a month on a golf course and they play 9 holes. I'm like, wow, that's super cool. Yeah. So, I mean, just all kinds of, and hiking, and so it's not always just sitting around a table opening the Bible, which of course is super important, but also just connecting with other believers and doing things outside the church. So,
doing life together.
Yeah, doing life together. And you have to be intentional with that, and don't be afraid.
Maybe some of you will take your spiritual gifts assessment and then realize that you have the gift of leadership and might want to start a group that is a good fit for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And your passions and your hobbies. So
yeah,
that would be my desire too, of just the outcome of people understanding the test and taking it, and then really taking some time to dive into what it means for them personally. Yeah. And then following through.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just a quick example, like I moved from Ahwatukee and I came to Central and moved to Mesa, and so I kind of got connected and I joined the table. It was a really amazing Bible study that Becky was helping lead, and that's how we got connected. And then, long story short, she was supporting me to lead a foster adopt group in the Mesa campus, and so she's like, yeah, go for it. And so I know she wants to have any group that can start to support people where they're at. So and since then I've left Mesa, but we have another couple that's taking over, and so it's continuing. And so, just like she said, like, find what your spiritual gifts are, and you can reach out to one of us on the media team, or reach out to Becky individually, emailing her, and we can certainly get you set up to where God is leading you to serve.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to share?
I think that last thing I would just share is not to be afraid. I think that sometimes as women we can get nervous, and it's a lot easier to just sit back and watch other things happen. But God is not a God of people sitting back. It's a team sport, and He wants all of us to be in the middle of it. And again, we all have a part to play. And so I would just say, don't be shy. And again, reach out, and there's people who will walk alongside anyone who wants to get involved. But it does take the first step of the individual saying, okay, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be brave. It's crazy. I've never done this before. I don't know if I can, but you're never going to be alone in it. We're all here for you.
You can, for sure, because, you know, we have that evil one out there that he's telling you that lie, because God did not put fear in us. You know, remember, He told Joshua, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And Satan doesn't want us to believe that. He wants us to believe that, oh, I can't do this because. So just remember Joshua 1:9. No, the Lord, He has given us to be strong and courageous with Him. We can do anything that He wants us to. So, ladies, I encourage you to do the assessment, and it will be in the description of the link. Any questions, just go ahead and DM or reach out to us, email, and we'll be more than happy to get back. And we drop a new episode every Tuesday for this fall, and just so excited you joined us today. And in the meantime, take good care, and we'll talk to you soon.